that, yes.
And live, I get the algorithm is telling me the meeting is
Okay.
being recorded. So let's start with the first very interesting question I have for you. So what is your story, your background, where you become, what is your origin, where you originate, the place you're born, the family you're born, the context you're born, your family history. So where does Joe come from? Where do you emerge from?
Well, that's a big question, you know. I can probably, that will probably take me an hour to answer just that one question.
Oh, fantastic.
Where do we come from? Bolton, which is a town in the northwest of England, very near Manchester. Everybody knows Manchester. So we're within 20 kilometers of Manchester. That's where I'm born. And that's where my grandfather in 1895, so I'm going back a long time, 1895, that's where he made for himself a pair of spiked running shoes. Some people say he invented it, others he pioneered the running shoe. So 1895, my grandfather made himself a pair of spiked running shoes. By the 1900, he had a business, and his business was making spike running shoes, and he made spike running shoes for, in his own words, all Olympic athletes. And that's
Okay.
in those days, in the early 1900s, all Olympic athletes. He got lots of gold medals with them. They won lots of gold medals and lots of world records. And it's in the 1920s, that was his real belle epoque, you might say, real era. That's where we had runners like, Alström, he got the world records in 1904. 1920s, we had lots of Olympic athletes, and they were immortalized in the film. I don't know if you've seen the film Chariots of Fire. Chariots of Fire
No, but
immortalized three British
I have read
athletes.
about.
Right.
I have read about.
They were immortalized in this film Chariots of Fire. They had gold medals, and they wore my grandfather's shoes. He was called Joe Foster. I am called Joe Foster because my grandfather died in 1933, and I was born in 1935, and I was born on his birthday. So this is why I have the same name. My grandmother insisted I brought my name with me. So 1935, 4 years later, we had World War II. And World War II, 6 years, so between 4 and 10 years old, I was brought up during those war years. At 10 years old, things changed, and I had a normal education. I went to college and I did engineering. But at 17, I joined the family business. My grandfather had started his business, J.W. Foster and Sons, athletic shoes, and that business I joined in 1952. But I was only there for 1 year. After that year, both my brother and myself, we did national service. So we went away for 2 years into the forces for national service. My brother, he went to Germany and he saw Adidas and Puma and what they were doing. And when we came back to the business, when we came back to the UK and joined the family business again in 1955, we saw it was a failing business. They were still making shoes as they'd done in 1930.
I want to ask you about that. How hard was it for you to get out of the family business? I mean, you have all of this history on you from this family. You are born in this context. You are born in this shoe business. Your grandfather was the first one who literally made his own shoes by himself. Now your brother comes back from Germany. You have this experience. You are in your 20s. You have seen a little bit around the world through the service, through your experiences, etc. And now you have to start your own company, some sort of detach yourself from the family and start on your own. Did you get the approval? What obstacle did you meet? How was it? How was the whole process for you? You know, the resistance, maybe, you know, because it's not easy, right? Sometimes
No,
I don't see it.
it's not easy, but my grandfather, he made a success of his business, and he had two sons, my father and my uncle. They were about 6 years apart, but they didn't talk. They feuded, they fought each other, and they were now running the business. So the business wasn't going anywhere. You need a plan. When we came back, Jeff and I came back from 2 years of national service, and we see the company, we see it failing, and we're talking to my father saying, we need to change. We need to modernize. We need a plan. We need to get some sales. But nothing. He did listen, but all he said was, look, when I'm gone and when your Uncle Bill's gone, this is your company. You can do what you like with it. And the answer to that was, well, Dad, first of all, we don't want you to go. That's not the idea. But this company will be gone well before you're gone. It's a dying company. So he wouldn't listen. Jeff and I, we went to college, learned a bit more about shoemaking. And by 1958, with nothing happening, we decided we'd have to move. It was quite confrontational when I told my father we're leaving. But, we just spent 2 years away from the business, 2 years away from home. Mother is no longer doing your washing. She's no longer making your meals. You have to look after yourself.
On the importance of that for a young man, how much would you recommend? Either going to, going to the service, or just taking a period off from your family and just going maybe for a trip, for a travel, or even if it's going to live alone, doing an experience like that. Do you attribute your courage in just pick, okay, heck, we're going to build our own company to that experience? Was that?
I think it did. I think Jeff and myself, I think we did benefit from that a lot. And but we'd also been in the Scouts organization, and that was a very good discipline. And 2 years in national service, discipline again. And I do think breaking away from the family routine is no doubt a good thing. And I think today people do that going to university. They go to college, go to university, they leave home probably again for the same 2 years. They have to become self-sufficient. You learn to become self-sufficient. You learn more. You learn how to get on in life without saying, Dad, Mother, how do I do this? Or they just do it for you. No, you've got to look after yourself. So in coming back, yes, we were changed people. We came back with a different view of life, and we'd seen more. So
at that point, you feel like there is no growth there for you. You feel like you have no weight in this company. Maybe you are young, you have all of this energy, you can feel this resistance, this tradition from the family company. They want to run it just like it used to be. There is this horrible thing. I think it can be very common in family business, where brothers and they fight between them and they just can't get over, they can't see the progress coming. So you establish your first company, and here I have an interesting question. Is it true that you went to inside the factory with your wife, and I don't know what you put inside there? You put one bedroom, how do you sleep in there?
Yeah. Well, we were young. I was 23, Jeff was 25. And, what can go wrong when you're young? You're invincible, you're indestructible. You just think, well, we're going to do it. I mean, I think as you get a little older, and this is why being an entrepreneur, I think you have to be young, because that way, you don't know the problems. And because if you knew all the problems you were going to face, you probably wouldn't do it. It's too difficult. So we were young. So, we'd been with the Scouts, we'd been camping, we'd been in the forces, doing things which were not exactly perfect and beautiful, living sort of next to the factory. That wasn't a problem. As I say, we were all young. And so, this was the challenge. And we were up to the challenge. There was no challenge left at the family business because nobody would listen. So all we would be doing there was repeating day after day the same problems and seeing it go worse. So we had to move, really. It was a question that this is the thing to do. Let's set up our own
So
factory.
the name, we talk about the name Reebok. How did it emerge? Where it come from? How do you find this name? Why this name?
Well, when Jeff and I left the J.W. Foster family, we set up our own factory in 1958. We started off as Mercury Sports Footwear. Mercury was a good name. We liked it. And we also had the winged messenger. That was our logo. So that was good. But it was only about 18 months into the business when our accountant, he said, you need to register that name. And we're young. We didn't register the name. Why? Oh, he said, if somebody else decides that you're making a good product, and they'll copy you and also use the name Mercury, unless you've got it registered, you're going to have to go to Lidl, go to court, and prove that you were there first. And that's going to cost you money. So I said, well, how do we register that name? You have to go to the registrar, and the registrar will do that for you. But the registrar came back to say somebody had already registered the name. It was pre-registered. I think it was British Shoe Corporation had it registered. They were not using it. And so they offered it to us for £1,000. £1,000, that's probably about 50, in those days it would be about 1,500 euros, but it was way out of our, we just started in business. We didn't have any money. And so I was advised to go and see an agent. I went to Manchester. I went into his office and the window was open. It was a very nice day. And they said, you're going to have a new name. And he pointed through the window to Kodak. And I said, what's with Kodak? He said, it belongs to them. They invented it. They made it up. Doesn't mean anything else. That's the sort of name you need. But he said, if you're going to have a new name, bring me 10, because we've got to try them all. We don't want to go one at a time. We'll just try 10 names and which comes out. And I'm saying, how do we do that? You know, we've got to be in love with this. It's got to be our passion. You know, this is, we can't just have a random name. Anyway, we went back.
Yeah, you can't really, you can't really trade it off, right? It's your name, it's your brand. It's not easy to, to just pick from a list of 10. It's just, something significant. You're putting all of your life inside. Now they want you to bring a list of 10. It can be a little bit hard, right?
Well, we sit around the table and we get names like Cougar, Falcon, names that sound a bit aggressive. Yeah, we need that for a company. But then I'll take you back to 1943. I'm 8 years old. It's in the middle of World War II. And we have a local event for running. And I win a 60-meter race. And I'm 8 years old. And I go up to collect my prize. And what is my prize? My prize is a dictionary. Where's the football? No, not a football. It's a dictionary. And it's an American dictionary. And I didn't know at the time, but this is an American dictionary. And I was quite disgusted with this. That's your prize. However, when we're now 1960, and I have my dictionary, and I very much like the letter R. It's just, something with an R. So I turn my dictionary to R and start leafing through the pages. And I come to R-E-E-B-O-K, R-E-E-B-O-K, Reebok. That's nice. What is it? Well, it's a small South African gazelle. Gazelle. Yes. We're a running company. We're in athletics. Gazelle. That sounds great. So I put this at the top of my list and I go back to the agent and say, look, we've got to be in love with this name. Well, this has got to be our future. It's our passion. And I said, I need that one. I need Reebok. Forget all the others. We need Reebok. Excuse me. And as it is, that was the only one. Reebok was the only one that came out that we could register. It was free. However, the registrar did have one comment, and he said, if somebody comes to me and say we're making shoes out of Reebok skin, we can't stop them. Oh. But Jeff and I, we thought, what, that'll never happen.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
like
impossible. So we registered the name.
who would do that, right? I mean, that's that's what we. But I am fascinated about what you said about the story of just this. At this point, I have to ask you, because this is crazy, right? You get a dictionary when you are 8 years old. You find yourself 23, 20 years, 17 years later. You're this 23, 24 years old man. You're looking for this name. You don't really know where it's going. You just started into reality. You pull out a dictionary that you didn't like in the first place. You say, what is this? It wasn't your favorite present. And out of there, this is so crazy. You pull out the name of your company. At this point, I have to ask you, Joe, do you believe in destiny? Do you believe in some predestination, in, I don't know, in God or something that it's crazy, that it's intangible, that we don't know about?
Well, you can put this down to coincidence. You can put it down to luck. Whatever it is, being born on my grandfather's birthday, 15 months after he had died, that's a coincidence. and then to be presented with a book and to find a name in that book. Yes, I mean, it's possibly fate. Was it fated that this would happen? I don't know. All I do know is that, yes, changing the name from Mercury to Reebok was good. It was fantastic. It was like, wow, this is a better name. This is more original. And, and we can move forward from that, because 4 years into our business, we get a letter from Adidas, from the Adidas lawyer. And we're using two stripes and a T-bar as our silhouette on the side of the shoe. And Adidas considered that was an infringement of the 3 stripes. So we get this letter and we're looking at it and think, oh, but then we think, just a minute, Adidas, they know we're here. Adidas are not so much worried about us, but Adidas think that,
yeah, this is crazy, because at this point, 4 years into a company, now they are worried. Now they notice, they know, who you are. You're getting one of the biggest company, I believe it was in the time. Now they're saying, what are you doing with our logo? So you're not, like, in your mind is, these people are scared. Like, they know we are here. They know we exist. They are sending us letter through the lawyer. So,
they thought, yeah, I mean, they thought that our presence was enough. They wanted to deter us, obviously. They wanted to scare us off in some way. But, again, we thought that was great. In fact, we had this letter on the wall. Must have been there for years. We pinned that up to the wall and said, great. But what did we do? We changed our silhouette. And we came up with what is now the Vector, this nice sort of arrow shape on the side of the shoe. Again, more distinctive, different. So that, again, that was, what came out of it was good. And I think that, when starting out in business, we had these tough times, but that's what makes you a good entrepreneur. That's the difference. You've got to have the problems, face the problems. And so we faced our problems, and we changed our name, and we changed our silhouette. And from that, we grew slowly.
What is, you grew slowly. So in the importance of when building a company, being, finding your willpower, pushing through, resisting, going on, and the importance finding and recruiting the right people, how, putting the right people in your company, because often I've discussed this many times. It's not easy to find, how do you go about that? Did you have some process to select people or to work with, or to, and did you then during the years develop a system to go through your obstacles and to keep going? This is the question.
Well, in terms of finding the right people, I think that people find, the right people find you. The right people actually come. We became part of the athletics community. We knew all the athletes. We knew the clubs. In fact, I was very fortunate in the fact that the 3As, which is the Amateur Athletic Association in the UK, produced a manual. And in this manual were the names and addresses of every secretary of every club in the country. And that was 250, 300 clubs. Writing to them introduced us to all the athletes. So we became part of this. And as we had a lot of athletes calling on us in our small workshop there. And if we needed something doing, whether it was plumbing, whether it was building, they would just volunteer to do it. So we became part of that community. And then if we wanted somebody to join us in the company, we had people there. They came. And a lot of people said, you know, if you want somebody to work, you know, I'd love to join the company. So that was joining the company. I think one of the other things was, though, that we went through another problem, which we almost went out of business. And I was introduced to a lawyer in Manchester. And that lawyer, Derek Waller, he was fabulous. Absolutely. So that was a connection that I made through our accountants and through a problem. And he stayed with me, and he did all our distribution agreements around the world. He did those, and that helped as well, because he knew intellectual property. He knew that. So he was one of the people that was really came from the outside. But I met him initially because we had a different type of problem. And that's, I could recognize in him that he was an unusual person, but he knew the business. So it's it's getting people in that are not just a lawyer, not just an accountant, but somebody who actually has an interest, somebody who actually just doesn't look at the problem and answer that simple problem, but becomes part of your operation, that they're thinking with you. And that always helps, because they're already prepared for a problem.
Okay. That is important. The kind of incorporating the people in this culture, in this movement, in this community, that are interested in this, what's going on in the factory, in the community, in this what you're about, and who can see ahead, who can work with you. Okay, it's not about addressing a problem, but it's it's about building a company, actually building it, expanding it, and navigating the legal system, for example, but many other areas of the business, such as, for example, marketing, branding, advertising, the competition, and it's over a mid-long term. So the question is branding, marketing, promoting your company. How has it changed from back then to these days? And what was some of the strategies that you applied?
Well, I mean, the business has changed immensely. I mean, in those days, what I had to do was to jump on an airplane and go places. That I had to go to the exhibitions. I had to go and meet potential distributors. We didn't have a computer. We didn't have a mobile phone. Yeah, I was lucky if I had a calculator. That was about it. A calculator and really a bunch of American Express travelers checks. That way, I could go anywhere in the world with dollars. People wouldn't take other currencies, but with an American Express travel check. So that's all I had. And I always say, well, has it changed? Yes, it's changed immensely. I mean, right now, look, we can talk to each other, and we can become friends, and it's good. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
It's great. Yeah, but on the other hand, you had also an excuse to travel, to kind of see the world and look around, and and maybe more human connection that we are missing today, right? Because especially with the lockdown, people are kind of missing this idea of connecting with others, etc. So
I think certainly with the lockdown, I don't think that this will take away the need to sit with people, to sit with a group and to discuss things and really to, have a meal, sit down, relax.
Yeah, exactly. Have a meal, share food. That it's really, it's a connection that we cannot have if we are doing it on digital. It's not the same than being in some place where maybe we have the podcast and then we are sharing some food and sharing some idea, and you can fully see, because what you see, it's a part of a sort of see these stores or half stores, so you only see the shoulder. So it's yeah, this is some part of the connection we have lost. On the other hand, what the chance I have now, we have both, is to tap into different communities, into different movements, no, much quicker from around the world.
Well,
So this is, I can see.
I certainly think that where we are now with Zoom and with these conferences and being able to talk simply, because in my early days, the best thing we had was writing a letter, and we had to rely upon the postal service. We could have a telephone call, but a telephone call, you used to have to go through so many people. You had to go through your local exchange. Your local exchange would go overseas to an exchange, because Varese, our distribution in Italy was from Varese, which is, you will know, north of Milan. Nice, beautiful place. And the guy there, Umberto Colombo, brilliant, fantastic.
Umberto Colombo.
Umberto Colombo.
From Varese.
Yes, and
Great.
And in fact, we still go there now. We go there to Sacramonte. Sacramonte is this hill just outside of Varese. Beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful,
Wow.
With a nice restaurant at the top and a nice hotel at the top.
I will write it down.
The Bordican.
Sacramonte.
Santa Maria del Monte.
Santa Maria del Monte. Okay. I'm writing it down. So because I will check it.
You do.
If it's good for Joe, it's good. It's good enough for Joe. It's good enough for me.
Absolutely. And we go back there even now. We would be probably in Italy now, but for the lockdown. And we'd go up to the top of Sacramonte and just sit outside this nice restaurant, and you overlooking the lakes. You could see all the lakes and a nice glass of wine. Relax.
Oh, just relax and just look at just look at the lake, look at the mountains, and look around.
And then we go down to, what was the name of the restaurant? Il Gestori. Il Gestori, just outside of Varese, and beautiful meal. So yeah, that was the benefit of making these, meeting the people, working with the people. And it was the same in Germany. Richard Litzel, he was just south of Munich, and we got Tegernsee. Yes, the travel was brilliant, but a lot of that travel has been after. When you're building the company, you're just in somebody's office, you're doing those things, but you make that friendship, and that friendship means that right now it's so nice. And we do travel throughout Europe, and in fact, we travel the world on many occasions. So we're talking about the difference between business then and the business now. And yes, meeting people is very important, and building that relationship, because that does help when you're building a product. You build a culture. You all become part of this. So people are part of. In my business, Reebok, and people believed in it. So it wasn't just an arm's length situation where we'll send you shoes. There's people lived it, and everybody was part of the culture. So yes, during those days, it took a longer time. I had to do a lot of travel. But the bottom line is, you made a lot of friends beyond the business, and that makes the business so much easier.
Okay.
Things happen a lot.
So I was a little bit read, and I think you had an important, quite instrumental relationship with a man named Paul Feynman, Mr. Paul Feynman. I don't know if I correct
All fine, yeah.
if I
Yes.
pronounce correctly. And I'm interested in this relationship. How did you went about meeting him, and how was he instrumental? Because he later on became CEO, if I don't go wrong, of Reebok. And you know, how was this kind of relationship, and how, in what areas did he help you? This, for example.
Well, in the same way that Umberto Colombo was so important to the Italian distribution, because he was part of the culture. He was Italian. So in the UK, it's quite a small market for athletics. We should have been in football, but Adidas had football. It was too expensive. We were a small company, too expensive to get into football. So we concentrated on something we knew about, which was athletics. But athletics is small. And I'm thinking, where do I increase my business? And Europe, fine, but in the early 60s, it was 20-something countries, different languages, different cultures. I had a small distribution in France and a small distribution in Belgium, but to penetrate beyond that, so difficult. America, we've got 350 million people. They all speak English, one language. Different cultures, yes, different climates, but we could.
And they are sport fanatics also, no? In America, they're a little bit
yes.
crazy with sports.
Yes. And they've got a lot. They had a lot of money in those days. They probably still do. So they had disposable income. In Europe, we were still a little bit recovering from World War II. Things were not going nicely. Beautiful countries to be in, but the money wasn't quite there. Not the same as in America. So in 1968, the British government, they wanted the sports industry to start exporting. They wanted exports. So they encouraged us by saying, look, we will pay for a stand, an exhibition stand at the NSGA, which is the National Sporting Goods of America in Chicago. We'll pay for a stand for you to go there and exhibit. We'll also pay your return airfare, and we'll pay half of your expenses, hotel bills, etc. Well, couldn't refuse that. So that was the offer. So in 1968, I went there. Yes, and I had a stand. The Americans loved the product. This is it. Where do I get the product? And I'm saying, you get it from England. They're saying, is that New England? No, not New England. It's England. Near London? Near London. So
okay.
it was like, okay. And they were saying, well, that's difficult. So look, when you get some shoes across here and you've got a distribution here, we'd love to try your product.
Okay.
That's 1968. 1979, 11 years later, I get distribution. This is where Paul Feynman comes in.
Okay, so you make the first meeting in 1968 before you get the distribution there. So that's 11 years to get in the market, to get inside.
Yeah.
And this is crazy because you have all the, if you think about all the context of what's going on, so you have all of this fantastic, incredible. You have all this rich in history. I mean, what's fascinating about you that you have lived through so many historical, significantly historical era, right? Starting from World War II, that's where you were born to. So you maybe could see when you would walk. Now it's not, it was very sad at the time, still is. You would see probably the bombshells, and you were under the, I don't know if the Nazi bombing. So you come out of there. Your parents probably lived the war. You too. And then you go on through all of this, and now you're here. So that's crazy for me. Like you're coming like warm from the past, and now you're here in front of this digital world, and you have seen all of these. That's incredible.
Well, yes, and the reason why we were able to get into America is we did find the hook. You know, when you're trying to push your brand, push things in, it's difficult. But all of a sudden, when you find the hook, you're pulled in. People want you. And that was designing a 5-star shoe for Runner's World, because Runner's World were a magazine, which was incredible. Everybody read the magazine in America. And everybody believed what Bob Anderson was saying. And when he said that shoe's a good shoe, they went to buy it. And we got a 5-star shoe, which is the top. We got 3 5-star shoes, in fact. And so in 1979, I'm exhibiting again in Chicago. And I get Paul Fireman. Paul Fireman comes to stand. And he had a business, Boston Camping. But he'd been in that business with his brother and his brother-in-law for maybe 10 years. And he could see he was going around the same, selling the same fishing rods and camping tents and whatever. And he said, Joe, I'd love to be a distributor, but we need a 5-star shoe. And this is February 1979. And I said, Paul, we will have a 5-star shoe. Come and have a look. This is it, Aztec. So I'm showing him Aztec. And Paul is saying, okay, that's great. But it needs to be a 5-star shoe. We have to wait till August when the shoe edition comes out of Runner's World. And I called Paul. I said, Paul, go down to the kiosk and pick up a magazine right now. This was late July because the edition comes out right at the end of July, the August edition. An hour later, he came back. He said, John, he said, Aztec, 5 stars. And Midas and Inca, that was a spike and a racing shoe. They're also 5 stars. So we had 3 5-star shoes. And that was our business. And the business was, Paul, you look after America, which he did, because America, that big market. And we're doing very nicely. But you know, Reebok really grew, not on athletics, but on aerobics. And this happened because we had aerobics. We had a technical rep, Angel Martinez. He's a tech rep down in Los Angeles. And he's down in Los Angeles, and his wife, Frankie, she's going to these classes and coming back full of it. And Arnold is saying to Frankie, what's this about? And Frankie said, well, these are aerobic classes. And Arnold says, well, what's that? Well, said, we're actually exercising to music, really good music. It's fabulous. Arnold went down to the next class she was in, and what did he see? He saw the instructor in trainers, half of the class in trainers, the other half no shoes at all. I thought, why don't we make them a shoe? Wasn't Reebok make them a nice, soft, glove leather shoe with cushioning just for the girls? And he went back up to Boston and had a word with Paul Fireman. And Paul is saying, look, we're in running. We're doing really nice. Our business is growing. We're really nice business here in running. It's, you know, what do we want to do with these girls in LA? You know, that's something, a small thing way down. Arnold wasn't put off. He went down to the back door to see Steve Liggett. Steve Liggett was in charge of production. And he said to Steve, can you get me a shoe? Nice glove leather, all white, and a nice sponge sole for these girls. Get me 200 pairs. He did. He got his 200 pairs. And he took them back down to Los Angeles and gave them to the instructors and some of the girls who were leading girls down then. And that was it. We suddenly became a woman's shoe. Reebok became a woman's shoe. The girls loved them. Brilliant. They just didn't wear them for the class. They wore them to go to work. They wore them when they were out. And it just took off. And we got Jane Fonda. She actually used a pair in her videos. She bought them to use in the videos. And then it just went viral. All of a sudden, it grew. And we were then a $9 million company. And the year after, we were a $30 million company. Then a $90 million company, 300 million, and then 900 million in successive years. That's what really grew the Reebok brand to be the #1 brand. We overtook Adidas, we overtook Nike, and became the #1 global sports footwear brand.
Okay.
But it was a woman's brand.
Wow. That's incredible. So you overtook, at one point you overtook Adidas, and you just entered into this athletics movement. this aerobics, aerobics movement with this woman. It's fascinating, just the step by step of how slow it just went, and just then how it just, just went crazy. That's really,
Yeah.
really, really, really incredible. Wow. So at that point of your life, how were you feeling? Where was your mind at this point? Where, how were you feeling? How was your personal life going? How was your business? How much energy was the business demanding? Suddenly your company is growing. Now you have to augment production. Now you have a bunch of problem. Okay, you are successful, but what are some of the problem challenges that you had to face at that point when everything was going so big that you was like, wow, maybe you wasn't
The,
expecting.
was sort of the opposite to trying to build the company. All of a sudden, the company was building you. All of a sudden, the, the demand for the product outstripped anything that we could do. So the biggest problem was, first of all, financing it. But Stephen Rubin provided that by providing a credit line out of South Korea. He just provided the product. That was it. But the other one was, if you can think of a business doing $300 million and growing to $900 million in 12 months, the biggest problem there is, where do you get the product? How do you get the product to supply that? And that was a big problem. Luckily for Reebok, Nike had just hit a wall. They'd just come up to a bad time. Things were just stalling for Nike, and they had to pull out of about 3 or 4 factories in South Korea just when we needed it. That's another stroke of luck. They're at the right time, and we went into those factories and were able to produce that quantity. That was then we were just nearly 1 billion. By the time we got to just under 4 billion, that was the end of 1989, I retired. I'd stepped up.
89, you stepped down, you retired.
Yeah, yes. The reason being is that at that time, since putting Paul Fireman on as the distributor for America, I'd put another 30 different countries on. So I've been going around the world, wherever, including Italy, building the distribution. And I got to the point where sort of every other week I'm flying 35,000 feet. I'm going to one city, another city. I arrive and I met with a limousine. The limousine takes me to the best hotel, and we go out at the best hotels and best restaurants and have wonderful meals. Julie, my battery's low. And so I'm saying, why am I doing this? We have a whole bunch of lawyers. We have a whole bunch of accountants and a lot of people in between who are used to making the product, distributing the product. The challenge had gone. It was no longer a challenge. And, we were doing the Princess Grace Foundation charity tennis in Monte Carlo. And so every year we were inviting all the stars from Hollywood, even Frank Sinatra. You're thinking of any stars you can think of. They were coming to our tennis tournament, and you're living in a different world. With these people, you're meeting all these fabulous stars, and it's incredible. And you're in probably one of the most glamorous cities in the world, Monte Carlo, and so this is becoming alive. And I'm thinking, well, yes, that's nice, but it's where's the challenge? So I decided to retire.
At this point, you are 54, right? Around about, if I don't go wrong.
Yes, I'm 54, come up to 55, yes.
You have reached this massive success, which was quite, I believe, right? Because you started from living in the factory to going to this with a challenging, some experience or resistance from the beginning. So you find yourself in this world. How was it to, how was it to just keep touch with reality when you are at this point? You're meeting all these Hollywood celebrity, you're living this life that's obviously not what most people live. You're having all of this success. Another thing is everything. It sort of seems like it goes back to a pattern, like you find yourself again where you're just repeating, like where it sort of become repetitive. Or you have all of this success, but you have it on repeat. You're having all this hotel, limousine. There is no any more challenge. But how you keep touch with reality when you have all of these, and most people don't, like with what's going on around you. I mean, like what was your own mindset about? I'm just
Well,
curious.
it was quite an amazing growth. I mean, it took a long time for it to start, and then it suddenly exploded. And when it exploded, it was keeping up with the race. You didn't have time to take in the steps. It was, we're going, and all of a sudden you arrive in, in the palace in Monte Carlo. I meet up with Prince Rainier. I'm with sharing a glass of champagne. And many years ago, I'd been to Monte Carlo as a tourist, just with a small little car and just driving around and enjoying it. And here I am now, sitting in the palace, and so you're trying to compare that. And so many things we did in the UK. We supplied shoes to Princess Diana, to William and Harry, all the royal family who were doing that. We're going to the guards' dinner and doing so many things and meeting so many people that it's like, this is not forever, and it's better to make your choice to sort of move back more to reality. And I was great friends with a number of the stars. Most of those have gone now. Right, Roger Moore and people like that. You have a nice friendship with, but we're going back now 40 years nearly. So most of these people have either passed away or are very old, and this happens. So I've got to get back to reality, and
yeah, which is totally crazy. I mean, I think you're one of I think one of the few that has this privilege to sit down with these people, and many of them are gone. And being there with Sinatra, being there with Prince Diana, meeting all of this royalty, being in this, enjoying this moment of your life, and being there, and it's just so much of a privilege. Anyway, you retired, and what happens what happens during the retirement? I mean, now you are all these super busy men building a company, expanding your company, goes on sabbatical. You have obtained this massive success. You arrive up until the royal house where you are actually, dressing or shoes, dressing Prince Willis and all of these princes and royalties, just madness. Now you retire, and you know what you do. You're this man, full of energy, just build a massive company. Where you put all of your energy? Now suddenly you're retired. What do you do?
well, it was very nice to relax and just take 2 or 3 years off. But again, I sometimes liken this to, the Eagles and the song Hotel California.
Okay.
Hotel California. You can check out. You can check out, but you can never leave.
Okay.
So I may retire, but Reebok are always coming back. Joe, can you do that? Joe, this has happened. Joe.
Okay. It's crazy.
I'm always being, okay, I go to South Africa for a court case. I go to Washington because the Internal Revenue there have a problem. So, and I go to the
So
Baker McKenzie's office, which overlooks the White House, and I'm retired. So, all this thing, it has kept rolling on, and as it does, and so I did get to the point where I'm reading Wikipedia, Google, and I'm reading about Reebok, where it all began. And I'm saying, no, that never happened. No. So it's all wrong.
But I have a question. All of this time, your wife, Julie, was with you? All of this time from
Julie is my second wife.
Your second wife. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, if we talk about family life, I think
you have, because in the meanwhile you have kids, you have all of this. How was your family life, and what do you think your family? What is the side that your family saw from you, and the side that the business saw from you? How did you, how did you keep it all together? So.
Well, I mean, at the end, I did get divorced because, you know, I think the problem is that when you have a company which is like Reebok, it becomes part of you. You know, it is your family, and it took a long time before the family could enjoy the pleasures because I was traveling a lot in those early days. Okay, my wife could have come with me a lot more. She didn't. But when we got down to the Monte Carlo and certain things, and she did a global trip with me, it was a little too late because she hadn't enjoyed or suffered the growth because that's where you develop this love, this thing that you've got to keep the company going. You can't say, sorry, I can't go anymore, you know, to a business trip thing. No, I've got to stay home, you know. So the family has to come with you. And it's, if the family don't come with you, that's where the problems start. If the family stay, no, they don't want to do that, then that is the problem. That's where it becomes difficult. Now we talk about Julie. Yes, okay. Since with Julie, we go everywhere. We do everything together. Because I mean, I did so many things, and I go to places and I come back home and I say, look, I've just met Prince Rainier. I've done this, I've done that. Oh, really? You know, like, oh, okay. Yeah, people need to share that. And I think this is one of the reasons I stopped doing it, because without sharing this properly, yeah, the pleasure is not there. The pleasure is there when you can say, do you remember when we went to this place or that place? If nobody remembers, then you're left with your own memories. So it's nice to get back to normal. It's nice to have done it, and it's great, but the tension is there for the family.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good, interesting that we'll write down the importance of building memories together with other people, and then having something to share, to talk about, and having this experience in common. You know, because that's actually what, you know, friends and, you know, people that know each other for a long time, that's what they actually talk about usually, right? Memories they have passed through. That's what bounds people together. And it's actually more important than who you met. It's actually more important what experience you lived with that person during that brief hours or brief days. That is most important, right? Because after all, who cares? Is some royalty or some other? I mean, it's about that experience you lived. Because if you were boring all of the time, you were, you know, or it was miserable time of your life, it's just yeah. I mean, I think it loses its value. You know.
Well, I agree that, you know, you can't continue with that forever. You know, you go in, you enjoy the time, you enjoy that period, and it's nice. Like I say, if you can enjoy it with a friend, with your wife, with your family, then that's good. And part of it, we did enjoy together. Monte Carlo was really good. Nice to go there and take friends there. You know, we went to it wasn't Milan. We went on journeys, and we could take friends. And I remember going to Rome, and we were invited to, in Rome, it was a basketball match. We were invited to a basketball match, and we actually took a private jet and some friends, and we all went to Rome, met with Umberto, and you know, this basketball match was great. Then we went to the Vatican City and whatever, and you know, you take a private jet. Yes, it's a wonderful experience, and it really is. Well, we used to do that quite a lot with the private jets, because when you're doing a journey, I know sometimes we had to go through Europe, and we go to Norway and then go to Switzerland, and then you can't do this by just going on regular scheduled flights. So the private jet would get us in and out in 4 days, as against 10 days or something like that. And you know, it's a life. It's like, okay, this is great, but you know, how do you sustain that without being outside of normal life? I love walking through Saint-Tropez. I love walking in Varese and going up the mountain. You know, those are the things that you can do with leisure, and there's not people all around. In Monte Carlo, it was cameras everywhere, because all of the personalities were there. So you were part of this, and you're thinking, wow, this is okay, but
Okay.
there's a limit.
Okay, crazy, fantastic. Yeah, you kind of maybe wanted the sort of out of that, go back to a sort of, but now you're this Joe Foster, so you have created this huge persona, right? So that's a little bit difficult to step out of that.
Yes.
Was it was it difficult for you to just head over your company to someone else, make him or her manage? Say, okay, here you are, you're the manager, we whatever we do, you're the CEO. You've been in power like for so long, and now you're running the company, and now you're giving your baby basically to someone else. Was that hard
I
for
think
you?
you
Was
have
that
to,
a painful process?
not a painful process at all. I think you have to recognize your input to a company, building that company from the source, 2 people up to 20,000 people. No, you've got to recognize when it's time. There are different people for different stages. It was fortunate. I found Paul Fireman. That was great. He could do what he was doing. He probably wasn't able to invent, design, and create a brand, but he was good at being able to take that on because he was America, and we needed him in America. And then I think, unfortunately, when Paul retired, he didn't find the right person. That's why Reebok is not as big as it should be. He didn't find the right person. If he had, I think we would have been now up with Adidas and Nike, same level. So you have to find your level where you're comfortable with. And like I say, I was okay doing these journeys, but that's not where you want to be. I was happier when we were really struggling and hard. We had to work at it. We had to go through the challenges.
Let's talk about your biggest challenge faced in your own personal life. Your biggest moment that you faced in your own personal life as first, and the biggest moment that you faced in your company life. These 2 questions I have.
That's always difficult because you spend 30 years going through these, and there are so many. There are so many. I mean, I remember in the business when our distributor in the UK went out of business. He totally went out, and he nearly took us with it. That was a big problem because I had to tell half of the factory that we can't no longer employ you. But there was so much part of Reebok at the time that some of them were willing to work for nothing, and the rest said, "Look, when you get back again, can we come back?" So that was a very big time. And also, when we became number one, when we sort of realized we got the 5-star and we got into America, those are fantastic times. And great times, bad times, they all become mixed. And in life, I guess the most difficult part of private life was when my daughter died. She died of leukemia. And, that's also a time when you think, what are we doing?
Oh my God.
Should we?
Yeah.
And when my brother died just when we got the 5 stars. So these
So
are
your daughter was how old? And
28.
how? Oh my God. So this is about yeah, this is sad. I actually have I have seen nearby me there is one lady who lost I think her son too, very young, second son, and I have seen closely, just observing, and I have seen the deterioration it had on this woman. She was 3 years dressing in black, and you could just feel the pain of this person. This is some unimaginable pain, I believe, for some parent.
So those are the personal tragedies you go through. But, that would probably have happened had I been in business or not. These are totally separated situations. But it just doesn't help when you feel, you've got a business which is this size, but there's nothing you can do. It's it happens. The best medication, whatever it is, but if it's meant to be, it is meant to be, and that's the fate, either way around. But you know, you have to pick up on whatever it is, whether it's a business problem, whether it's a personal problem in life. You've got to pick up and get on with life.
Now, as to when both your brother and very painful, your daughter died, how did you pull out yourself from that? What was your way to get out of that, to reemerge? And in these two important stages of terrible stages of your life, what person came out of that? What was the Joe before and what was the Joe after?
I don't think you ever pull out of it. I think you always hold that these moments as difficult moments, as moments that, you know, if people ask me, what would you change in your life? The only two things that would change was my brother and my daughter, if I could, but I can't. You know, those are the things you would like to change. So what comes out of it is that when my brother died, and we were just in America at that time, and I think it makes you more determined to make it successful. Yeah, I think that's what you have to do. You have to say, well, you know, we can continue with this, and for that we could do. When my daughter died, it's like saying, well, I don't know where you go with that. It's you just have to get on with life. You have to recognize the fact that you know, you're still there, and you know, she had children, and we looked after the children. So, in fact, I was talking to my grandson yesterday. He's doing very well. He works with computers. He's a good web designer. He not only designs the web, he also designs the products. That, you know, designing it is good. So he's good. He has, and I think that's what it helps, you know, to know that you still have that relationship with with Kay's family. So you try not to think about it too much, but you know, it's something, like I said, you never forget these things. You never get over them. You know, they're always tragedies, but life continues. So, and you must pick yourself up and remember that, you know, out there, you go out and you enjoy life, and you've got to continue enjoying life. You can't sit down and just put your head in your hands, be it a business decision or even a personal problem. You just must get on with life. And writing the book has been useful. You know, it's been useful to tell the truth about, or to say where Reebok came from. And it's been good, you know, to let people know, you know, the good and the bad, personal and business. And
how was that old process for you? How was it, this old laborious, hard process of building a book, putting together at 85 years old, plus 86 almost? I don't. How old are you, Joe?
86 now. Just turned 86 this month.
Oh my God, this is great. 86. I hope so many people, they hope they will get to the 86 years
It's
old.
only a number.
Yeah.
You just continue. Things are not the same. It's a bit tougher, you know. The joints don't work as well as they used to. I have a new hip, have a new knee, you know. But you know, we keep going, yes. And why not? I think if you stop, that's when you die. I think, you know, if you stop moving, you become a solid, and we don't want that. So we keep moving, we keep doing things and enjoying life. COVID hasn't helped because we can't move around as we should do. But I think you just get on with it. And writing the book was good. And now what it's given me is given me a mission, because now I have a mission. It's got to be a bestseller. No point in writing a book if nobody reads it. So I tell everybody who we talk to, come on, we've got to get this to a bestseller.
Okay.
Sell the book, Shoemaker.
A bestseller. Yeah. So that kind of gave you made it. You made it a mission, because I'm also curious about one question. Right, once you reach this height, you reach this level, okay? So basically, it's a question I would make to some astronaut, okay? Once you go to space, okay? Once you reach the super success, the massive, the Sinatra, all of these, after you come back, planet Earth, you retire, whatever. What is it you do, right? You've seen all of
Right.
these. Now, what is it you do, right?
You're right.
What's next? Like you ask yourself, what next? I couldn't. What is it?
Well,
So
like I
for
say,
you, just now, it's yeah. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry, Joe. Yes.
say you write a book, and now we have the book, and we learn that it's up to us to sell it. We have a publisher. He does what he does. In fact, the paperback of the book is out on the 10th of June. So we have another launch, a launch of the paperback. And we get lots more people to talk to. I mean, it's been really good because the book has brought a lot of people who I knew or I didn't know, a lot of Reebok people in to talk to me. It's amazing how many people now we're talking about different times. What's going to happen to Reebok now that Adidas is selling the brand? Will it be released, and can it grow again? Can we become a number one again? So there's a lot of things to think about. A lot of excitement in my life. It's not dull. It's not a question of what do I do next.
I like your
There's so many things
spirit, Joe. I like your spirit. You're still like, can you still make it top number one? Well, I'll make it a bestseller. I like this energy that you have. This yeah, I don't know how to say. This very energetic, competitive. I don't know. I would say define it as this desire to just win. This is just incredible about you. You just have this. Seems inside the conversation, you just have this number one, over and over. So this is really great. I haven't seen in many.
Yeah, I think it is that you've got to remain an optimist. You've got to remain willing to challenge the normal, and so we have lots of things that in front of us. It's not like saying, well, it's time to settle down. No, we have lots of things to go at.
Joe, what do you think? So now you're 86. You're looking at all this situation, 21, COVID, whatever, what's going on, the political election, the geopolitical story, Reebok, a new market, technology, all of this, what's going on, wars, and you have born in wars. There's still wars. So, some things are better, other things are not really changed. Maybe some of the situations you saw in your life, I don't know, maybe some of that you still see today. So what are your thoughts and consideration about this world, about this where we live? Just about human beings and all this madness that's going on.
Well, the one thing I do know is that nothing's forever. These things change. As you know, from World War II, and we've gone through an awful lot, we have a lot of angry people these days. But we also have a medium through which they seem to be able to use, like Donald Trump and things like that. They use this medium to create more pressures. But these things change. Everything has a change, and we're going through so much technical improvement these days. I mean, it's incredible now. The AI, virtual things you can do virtually. It's just amazing. This is growing and growing because the science which is taking us into different areas is incredible. And yes, I think because media is such, we hear so much more than we used to do. Everybody lives everybody's life. We live the American life. We live whatever life it is. Wherever. Belarus is just causing a problem, and Russia are doing this. But we're here to absorb it all. The media puts it up to us all, and I think all those things have probably been going on in a different way forever, but we didn't hear about it. Now we do. We experience everybody's problem. And it's like they say that, no news is good news, which means that news is always bad news.
Okay.
So, and I think that's it. I think people.
No news. It's
people
good
actually.
News. Yeah, that's a good one, Joe. Yes.
No news is news. Yeah. So the news we have is always bad. You know.
Yeah, this is
People
crazy.
love that.
And we have a, and we just, people love, sometimes people love, really, they love drama, and they love the, you know, you know, they love the bad news. And, you know, maybe we are wired this way to go and, you know, focus on the negative, or whenever someone tells you a bad news, it sticks with you. And we, you know, focus on, you know, like you said, so much technological process and some of the things that have actually changed, and move on. And yeah, and then you just, if you look at you know, all of these, like you look at this macro picture, you just feel, oh my god, all of this going on, the world is, it's terrible. And you know, maybe you should go back to some of the things you said, like in the beginning, just oh yeah, yes, we're gonna go together. Yeah, just for me, it's just maybe just focusing on the next thing, or what's going on with you, what is it you actually can fix. And on the other hand, for me, it's about the podcast, just talking to people and listening to their stories, you know, to understand what's really going on. Because I don't think that the media portrays. I mean, it's only when you talk to some people from, like you said, Belarus, yeah, or this other country, that other country, actually, you know, just go there like you do, going to Italy and drinking and talking to people and just seeing what's going on, actually, what's actually going on, what's the reality, the everyday of it.
Yeah.
Uh, so I have some last final trip, Joy, because it has been it's been quite a journey. So what are your three advice for the youth? This is the final, almost final question.
Well, for the youth, so there are many, many opportunities out there today, probably more than they would imagine. They probably look and think, well, no, you had a better time back down there in the 1950s. It was easier then. No, I don't think so. I think things are, the possibilities are there now, the opportunities are there, but you have to be into technology. You have to be in, that is where it really is. You can be in product, and product is quite difficult, but even if you're in product, you have to have the technology, selling technology. Now we have so much online sales, and this is where the presence is. So for anybody who's young, and if you want to be an entrepreneur, start young. You have to start young. Start young when you're invincible. Don't listen to too many people. If you have an idea, really just go, just do it, just have that will. And yes, you'll hear people, but don't ask too much advice, because if you get too much advice, you won't do it, but you will regret not taking that opportunity. So even if you fail, it's only a step, and that failure, we will learn something from that. And so if you have that right attitude and optimism, you will pick yourself up, get on again. And you can afford to do that when you're young. You can't afford to do it when you're older. You know too much, you learn too much, and you have too many answers to the questions. You don't want the answers when you're young. You need the opportunity. And you can change those answers. So do it when you're young, and believe in yourself. And also, whatever you're doing, have that emotion, that passion, so that you can push your way through a lot of the problems. And you will have problems, but you know, they're all surmountable.
Joe, thank you very much. I really thank you for sharing. I thank you for sharing some of the aspects you've shared. Also, you've shared so much about you, so much about you know, what you went through, what you've been through, the you know, just the painful process of growing, of becoming, of all of this. It was just really intense. And you have, I feel like you have really put the part of yourself in this podcast. I mean, you're putting the story of your life, and we are trying to condense it in 1 hour and 18, 1 hour 20 minutes, whatever we are here. And it's just too much. And I can see that, you know, some moment it's really was really, you know, deep for you. And you know, just really thank you for putting all of this energy in this job. I'm really grateful for you being here. And I'll be really grateful to have you on. Why not have you on in the future for your next book, or when it becomes a bestseller, or to have another conversation with you, Joe. Really, thank you
Anytime.
very much. It's just
Anytime. Just
beautiful
keep
you've
in
been
touch.
here.
Yes, it's nice to be in touch with you. Keep in touch with Julie. It's good. And anytime. We're very happy to talk.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. I will. Let's keep in touch, Joe. And thanks for being here. Your book, Joe Foster, founder of Reebok, 86 years old, this fantastic man, really beautiful, beautiful man. Shoemaker, his book you can find on Amazon. You can find nowadays on the internet everywhere. If you want to learn more about the story, guys, Joe Foster. Thank you very much, Joe. Up until the next one.
Thank you very much. Been a pleasure. Yes, indeed. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.